bam, 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 bam. Here. What's up, chat? Happy Tuesday. Right? Yes. Yeah. Tuesday with confidence. December 28th. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. Good little start to the last week of 2021. Last night, I thought we were in for one of the more high-scoring slates pre-flop, but it didn't quite go that way. What did go normally, James Harden, 77.5 fantasy points, closed the fourth quarter out essentially against G Leaguers for like a strong 5 minutes. Didn't really matter. Everyone, 70-80% owned Vooch. I guess what was really weird yesterday was that all of the big three Chicago Bulls all coexisted for a ceiling. They were three of the top five scorers on the slate. Vooch with 65, DeRozan 57, and Zach LaVine 52. So I feel like I know for sure, like in my player groupings, I usually prevent that trio from falling in the same lineup. But man, shout out to anyone that maybe had the big three yesterday. Porzingis with 62 fantasy points, had a okay chunk of that. But for the most part, last night was actually a down night for me. It was a spot where all of my tier one plays were really coagulated with the field. They were all pretty high owned. Jaylen Brown, 70-80% owned on Fanduel. James Harden, and then I took a big stand on Javal McGee on Fanduel. I had like 50%. He was a flat play. So, I only had one lineup in the hunt last night. That featured a 3% owned Nas Little on Fanduel. But you can't win them all. So it's onward and upward. And today, another COVID-impacted slate, but we're starting to see a couple teams get a little closer to healthy than not. And we're starting to see a few teams still completely depleted, like the Timberwolves, that really did not get pricing adjustments where they should be. So interesting to see where ownership shakes out, where scoring shakes out, and then we do have a couple of lopsided spreads. We're going to go through every single game and trying to formulate an early rough draft player pool, stuff like that. I think I might have Jake on in a minute. I can't tell, but no Raj, but I should have somebody jumping in just a minute. Shout out to the live chat. Shout out to Chris Conlon, Brody Mollinger, William Lewis, Fish Fan, Earth to Air, Justin Brooks, Cash Good last night. Appreciate y'all, fam. Let's do it again. Yes, sir. Hey, by the way, I woke up today. I was out of Bang, so I made a little order. They reskinned the Bang can. I would have walked right by that sucker in the gas station. Shout out to the dasher who did not. Let's pop it open. Make sure they didn't reformulate it too. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Mia Moore, he closed the bed. Yeah, I had to close the door because the TV was loud. Another Nathan Knight. Greg Monroe, though, huh? Money time. Let's get what up. Jay Smooth, Darnell, Brooklyn Silva, Crispy, House of Pain, Cameron Baldwin, Mr. TD. I see the Bulls giving up a lot of points, especially with no Lonzo. And, we got Trae Young back yesterday. That was nice. Adrian Morgan as Lou Dort, a good play without Giddey. Definitely a better play. Dort and Giddey and SGA are usually the only Thunder I ever get to. I think we saw Derek Favors went down today, so maybe you can create a long shot case for like a Darius Baisley or something like that. But usually the big three for me on the Thunder have been Giddey, Dort, and SGA. What up, EP? Huntley for MVP. Knight was the man last night. Yeah. And they priced him up on both sites. Can you sense the sarcasm? Like, what? How does this happen? Nathan Knight should probably come in as like the highest owned player pre-flop from this far out. Nathan Knight, 3,800 on FanDuel. Power forward eligible, 3,200 on DraftKings. I guess look for Naz Reid's availability. If Naz Reid can play, does it murky the waters a little bit? Maybe. But yeah, he should be pretty popular. What up, Neville? What up, Nate D? What up, Craig? I know I was in trouble earlier when I switched from Plumlee to McGee. Yeah, I did have Plumlee in my risky value on Fanduel. Would have had more of them if the Ayton news. I guess the Ayton news was I can't regret the McGee play. Memphis had come into that game leading the league in blocks allowed per game. That's right up McGee's alley. We've seen McGee thrive with minutes. It is what it is. He actually fouled out. He got into his feelings a little bit against Steven Adams. He spilled to the floor. Adams actually went to help him up, and McGee looked more like he wanted to fight. What up, G Cool? You fading Temple tonight? Garrett Temple? Maybe. I guess you're foreshadowing the Brandon Ingram situation. It's not. I don't think I ever run to play Garrett Temple. I'm not knocking him as a play, but when you say "Are you fading Temple?" that makes me think like, Are you fading this massive play? I don't know. Obviously, Josh Hart, Devontae Graham, the homie J-Val, all those guys I'd be into, but I don't think Garrett Temple will become a priority for me. But if I did get to him or didn't get to him, it wouldn't be somebody that I'd probably sweat fading or the decision to fade, right? What up, Lorenza? You sounding 100% gun. I'm getting close. Every now and then I'll have a cough spell. But for the most part, it's been pretty clean. So that's good news. Had a lot of Plumlee. Nice. ECW, Giddy's out, health and safety. Yup. Plum Dog Millionaire. Yep, he did it. I mean, hey, Plumlee made a lot of sense, right? It doesn't get much better matchup-wise than the Houston Rockets. No P.J. Washington. No Miles Bridges. And they were really short, so there was a path to minutes for him no matter what. The question for me was always how many minutes, but he was enough to be in the first 5 centers that I picked out. But then when I started gauging ownerships and wanted to drive some wedge for like leverage, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with 3 centers on Fanduel. I did 50% Javal, and then I split the difference: 25% Gobert, 25% Capella. And I played Porzingis exclusively at the power forward spot. It didn't work out. I also had a tier 1 amount of Christian Wood, and that didn't go great. So like I said, last night I tanked. What are you going to do? The great plays were high owned. What are you going to do? Garland out, Mobley in. All right, cool. I'm going to pull Jacob in here, chat. Jake won't have a cam, but it'll look like I'm talking to the voice in my head. But it's all right. Jake Sharp is a whistle. Last year, you might remember the end of the season before last year, won $100K on the final day of the regular season, thanks to Terrence Mann at 1% own. Jake, you snowed in?
No, it all blew away.
To where?
That I don't
somewhere.
know.
It's the bottom of the mountain is loaded right now.
Whole lot of wind and a whole lot of powder snow that just didn't end up anywhere that I could find.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good. Powder snow is different, right? There's sticky, ice blocky snow that you have to shovel. And powder snow, just let it ride. We don't deal with snow much down here, but when we do, it's Armageddon. Jake, did you play DFS last night?
I did. I got Conley's role not changing, right? And that was about it.
Yeah, it was a rough... I don't know. There's also just like a lot of weirdness. I know I went over the top scores of the slate. There's like Nas Little, we did like drop 48, 20 and 10, 34 minutes. Our boy Peyton Pritchard got the start. 45 minutes with no Smart, no Schroeder, no Tatum. Huge game out of him. Jalen Noel... I started the slate last night on 30% Noel, and then when McLaughlin started, I was like, man, I'm just gonna split this down the middle. So I went half. Actually, I ended up with 10% McLaughlin and 15% Noel, and Noel dropped 29 real points. And it was funny after the game. Monroe was like, that Noel kid played good. I don't know who he is, but he played good. And then Nathan Knight dropped 45. So it was just like one of those weird nights where a lot of high-owned plays did great. And then if you took a stand on a guy that didn't do great and was under, and you were, and the field was under you, i.e. Christian Wood,
Oh.
then you didn't do great. And that was me. I think I guess if I look back at yesterday, Christian Wood's probably the reason. Because I was even under on LaMelo Ball, and he only dropped 38. What are you gonna do?
I think Wood and McGee combined to just barely outscore Nathan Knight 2v1.
Yeah, not what you want. Not optimal. Not optimal. What can you do? It's 71 degrees. It says as breezy. Yeah, Jake's in Utah. Where I'm at, it is 78 degrees in Central Texas.
No, it's 20 here.
Yeah, it's crazy how So we got some news to go over here. Then we'll jump in the slate. Are we really at 100 viewers? 15 minutes in. You guys are nuts. I mean nuts. Appreciate that. Let's get those thumbs up, man. Maybe it's early enough to designate a giveaway here. Via Underdog, key news to watch is of 3 p.m. Eastern. Bradley Beal's questionable. LeBron James probable. Evan Mobley, I think, is closer to in than out. Got questionable on him, though. Brandon Ingram's doubtful. Jonas Valanciunas probable. Andrew Wiggins probable. Pascal Siakam probable. Aaron Gordon questionable. And Josh Hart questionable. So that's what we're dealing with. We'll go game by game here in a minute and talk all the news. Jake, I tell you about this coffee shop near me that is closing down.
Oh no!
The employees,
I know.
the employees have been complaining that the equipment is haunted, and so they say for the last couple of weeks the equipment's been malfunctioning and it's just like it's not working. So they get stressful. They get stressed. The employees have been walking out on them, and corporate finally decided to shut it down. So that's a shame, but they've had trouble brewing for a long time now.
That was a lot for that.
It was a lot. Anyway,
things you get in the VIP Discord.
Hit the thumbs up, fellow dads of America. Hit the thumbs up. Wayne Ellington got ruled out a little before I went live, so he might be reflected in the spreadsheet as playing. But what can you do? Let's pop open RunDFS.com. Plug real quick. If you guys want access to the spreadsheet we're going to be using throughout the duration of the stream, go to RunDFS.com. Get yourself a subscription, a membership, whatever you call it. We're pushing that year past for 2022. There's only a couple days left to really take advantage of this. Comes with a $150 credit towards Fantasy Cruncher. So you do the math. If you apply the Fantasy Cruncher credit, it's like a rebate. It becomes a $4.99 deal, and that's less than it's low $40 a month for 12 months. So you really can't beat that. Pro coverage for NFL, NBA, and baseball. Love me some baseball. And a lot of you guys that maybe are in your first tenure as a member, you can attest if you're out there, man. It's been really, really, really fun to see all the different screenshots in the Discord. And what I love about the Discord is there's so many different walks of life. We got old school cats, youngsters, people balling on a budget, people from Europe, people all over the country. It's just a crazy melting pot, and it is the crippling gambling addiction that binds us. Milwaukee Bucks at the Orlando Magic. First game on the docket. There's only one game at 7. It's an island game. 7 p.m. 215.5 total. 14-point spread in favor of the visiting Milwaukee Bucks. It feels like once a year, Jake, the Bucks end up in like a minus 15-point spread, and then they get blown out. I'm not saying that this is going to happen here, but I swear once a year the Bucks lose a game that they should never even come close to losing. Our project starting fire for the Bucks here: Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and DeMarcus Boogie Cousins. Up against Hassani Gravett, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Mo Wagner, and Wendell Carter Jr. 215.5 star total. Like I said, 14-point spread from the Department of Redundancy Department. So pre-flop, it's easy to kind of write this one off as a potential laugher / blowout. Giannis Antetokounmpo, you look at the slate, he is one of the studs to go up there and get, but he is competing with a guy like Nikola Jokic, who's a stone's throw away from him, $500 more on DraftKings, and then also Joel Embiid against a Raptors team that may or may not be more competitive by the time that game tips off. So when it comes to the studs, you absolutely have to get the guy that wins the slate in terms of raw points, especially with all this value. And right now I got Jokic and LeBron and Embiid and Steph Curry above Giannis. Not that it's like a giant gap here, but it does feel like Giannis will have the least stress on him, considering the matchup, and considering that the Bucks are a bit healthier than any other team in basketball right now. Rather clean sheet, just Brook Lopez on the injury report. So I guess the short question is Giannis the stud that you go after today, or are you just going to sit this one out? My guess is that the field sits this one out. And is there anything to like in this game? The Magic do have a little bit of a laundry list of cats that may not play here. You might get deep minutes from a lot of these who's that category of players. But for the most part, you don't see any price points that feel egregiously wrong. Wendell Carter without a couple starters, without Mo Bamba, 7 to 8K. You don't feel like that's a smash price. Same with Franz Wagner, 7K on both sides. I don't feel like I'm getting a great deal. So, for a slate that has one game at 7 p.m., is there anything that makes your player pool here, or does your slate start at 7:30?
Honestly, it probably starts at 7:30. I think with the Bucks, we could see a situation where even if they don't blow out, it could be like Christmas, where they're all priced appropriately. Giannis puts up 60, but is 60 the most raw points on the slate? Maybe not with Jokic. We know what his upside is always. And then Drew's still over 9K on both sides. Middleton's still 8K on both sides. So if the Bucks just kind of snowflake are fine plays across the board, that's probably not good enough with all the value we have.
Yeah. And Giannis would, like you say, you have to be the top scorer on the slate. Maybe they've been known, Budenholzer has been known to find some load management opportunities. So nothing's out there to suggest this, but I don't think either of us would be shocked if we got a curveball before locked at one of the Bucks, if not two of the Bucks, something like that, where they decided to rest a guy here and there. So maybe if that happened, like if Giannis was out right now, like would you switch to Middleton and Drew? Drew, even if without Giannis, Drew's kind of already priced because of that stretch of games without Giannis. I don't know. It doesn't feel like I'm getting a great price on anyone regardless. So, yeah, maybe we look out for that. But even Bobby Portis at 8K, like if you got a Giannis or Middleton ruled out or Bobby Portis started, everyone on the Bucks is so expensive. So I think as big as this slate is, it's hard to key in on anyone individually and feel great about it. No Magic here, no Hassani Gravit at 3,600 for you.
I could maybe get there just because he is cheap, and I feel like he's the kind of guy who he's on 10 days. If it does blow up, maybe they just leave him out there anyway. Mm-hmm. So I could see that because he's so cheap on DraftKings. But outside of that, like with Franz Wagner over 7K, Wendell Carter over 8K, or 8K exactly on DK, it does feel like you're paying premiums for a team against the Bucks as 15-point dogs.
Yeah, I said the name that does kind of stand out from FanDuel to DraftKings. There's a 2K difference in RJ Hampton's price. I got him for over 30 minutes. He's kind of the guard, at least, I would trust for scoring. I don't know much about Gravit. And Gary Harris, historically, is somebody that we expect to be more of a peripheral getter. We don't look at him to score. Though he is averaging 10 real points a game this season, so I guess that's more than I thought. But RJ Hampton is somebody I know. If you give him some minutes and, if he didn't start here, you would probably have to stamp him as someone who would be pretty game script proof. So maybe, it's one of those spots where I wouldn't think about him on FanDuel, but on DK, if you get 30 minutes and you got a shot at 10, 20 real points and a couple peripherals, maybe he makes the back end of the player pool. But yeah, no priority plays here. We get caught up on chat before we move on to the...
On DraftKings, in addition to that massive discount to FanDuel and compared to Gravit, RJ Hampton also has shooting guard eligibility on DraftKings, which Gravit does not.
Yeah, that's way more convenient, especially when I get to some of those Curry lineups. What's up, Brother Bernard? What up, Ash Breezy? What up, Quan? What up, Travis? How do you feel about pairing Embiid and Butler instead of the other big three? I mean, definitely. I mean, any combo of guys that have 50, 60 fantasy point upside makes sense. I wonder where Embiid falls in the landscape of the studs. I would imagine Jokic is the guy that probably trends the best just because he projects the best, at least in my model. But yeah, if you think Embiid has a shot to score within a few points of him or even outscore him, and you think maybe the Nuggets get laughed at, yeah, I don't mind that combo. Butler, I haven't really dived into Butler's situation yet. I know he's back. I wouldn't mind playing him. But I don't know if he gets lost in the sauce, because I also do have a hankering for maybe some LeBron James tonight. Ash says, Wood hit some fan in the face last night, so we heard a lot of people. I saw that. And he said he would get her courtside seats. I was like, wasn't that game in Charlotte? You gonna fly him out to Houston? If I live in Charlotte, man, I don't think I care about courtside Rockets seats. Even if they flew me out, do I if the Rockets really putting a product worth traveling across the country for? I don't know. What up, Chuck is dope. GS Luke in the chat here. What up, Quinn? See, you got me my candy bars. Yeah, they're on the stove. There's also a vanilla Coke in the fridge if you want. Rubio's a play today. I do like Rubio. What up, Mongo? Back with the tiers question. Joval versus Russ. 1v1 points only. I think Joval for floor, probably floor and ceiling. I'm a Russ guy, and I do like Russ's matchup. But let me, Mongo, throw that at me again in an hour, and let me see where we're at. All right, let's move on to the next game. Washington Wizards at the Miami Heat. Projects 25 for the Wiz Kids. Spencer Dinwiddie, Bradley Beal, Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma, Daniel Gafford taking on Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G Buckets, PJ Tucker, Omer Yurt 7. We got a 208.5 total, 6.5 point spread in favor of the Miami Heat. I'm gonna get up to the depth chart here on I guess both Washington and Miami. There's a couple of guys that we got listed in that might still have game time decision tags on them. So I'm gonna go through this lineup here. PJ Tucker has an official Q tag on him, but the blurb says that if he's able to return, he might put a dent on your 7's fantasy potential. We'll have a better idea where he is following shooting around. That's a blurb from yesterday. And then Washington has had a pair of games without Bradley Beal, and I think he might be closer to in than out. Let's see what the blurb is on him. Wes Unseld Jr. said that he is, quote, hopeful that Bradley Beal will be available for Tuesday's game against Miami. So, yeah, I guess we'll wait for that news. The NBA, as much as the late scratch headaches are notorious, they've been suspiciously good about reporting guys testing in and out. So hopefully we'll have that news in due time. We discussed price discrepancies between the two sites on a couple players already, and that is a staggering constant every day, as there are some egregious gaps. We've talked about Jaylen Brown being 2K cheaper on Fanduel versus DK, and there's so many more examples. Right off the bat, Bradley Beal is 8,300 on Fanduel, 10.4K on DraftKings. I mean, that's Exhibit A of a guy I would never consider on DK today. But on FanDuel, yeah, it's chipping a chair for 40 fantasy points. So I think on the surface, you think about Wizards and Heat basketball this year, you got low-paced style of play, metrically strong defenses, though no Adebayo does mean something. On the Wizards side, I didn't mention it, but Montrezl Harrell's out. He got admitted to the health and safety protocol group, which this could raise our projection and expectations for Daniel Gafford. He's around 5K on both sides, so I really got to feel great about getting 30 to 30 plus fantasy points. But Jake, any name standing out to you? I think from a FanDuel perspective, I'd revisit the thought of Bradley Beal. I'm still not locking that, but obviously a $2,100 discount from site to site is worth something. And then on the Heat side, somebody in chat, just mentioned Jimmy Butler. He's only 8,500, and he's somebody that you take out Kyle Lowry, you take out Bam Adebayo without PJ Tucker. I'm interested. I know Tyler Hero's lurking off the bench here, but it's a big spot for Jimmy Butler and potential ceiling here of 50-plus fantasy points. He came back, dropped 44 in Game 1, another slow-paced game where it was pretty easy win against Orlando for the most part. You expect him to do a little bit of everything, flirt with a triple-double. If Jimmy Butler was 85 on DK, I feel like you'd be feeling pretty doggone happy about it. Is that where we start here? Jimmy Butler, and then if you had 83 on Bradley Beal, would you be in on Jimmy Butler v. Beal in some lineups?
Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of scrambling right now because college football slate just imploded.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Butler at 85, I do think makes a lot of sense. At 93, it's a little harder to get to. I'd really like to know PJ Tucker news because Yurt Saban's been someone who's produced very well when given minutes. In that last game, he saw 33 and for 36 DKP, 16 points, 15 boards. So I think that could be a good spot, especially with Harrell out going up against someone like Gafford. It's not exactly a matchup that terrifies me from a fantasy perspective, and he's still reasonably cheap at under 5K on DK.
Yeah. Would you play any PJ Tucker?
Oh, gee.
I'm gonna say no. Yeah, all right.
I mean, they are missing a lot of bigs, but I feel like they're good enough giving Yurt Saban minutes that they probably don't throw Tucker back into 38 minutes, which is about the only way he produces fantasy points, is just being on the court all game.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty narrow path for me. Is give me some Butler. I play more on Fanduel these days than DK for NBA. Yeah, 8,500 for Butler, especially to tighten the screws on a position that's usually a little loose, like small forward. We get some strong small forward options today, LeBron James namely. And then, yeah, this Bradley Beal price point, such a contrast from site to site. So if he does clear, he'll be good to go. Let's go check out the live chat here. What up, Bernard? What up, Giuliano? I missed a good question. Ash Breezy said, when players clear protocols, are they required to miss another game for conditioning? No, conditioning is just, are you in shape? So, some players deal with it differently or have to be out longer than others. Some players can stay on the treadmill, stay in shape, depending on how long you're down. Like a player like Trae Young, I pretty much knew he would be back ready to go right off the rip. But some of the players that maybe don't average 38 minutes a game or something like that, maybe they struggle to get back to where they need to be. Or players that had stronger symptoms than many players that were asymptomatic. But no, there's not a rule saying they have to miss a game. Conditioning is up to the coaching staff and the trainers and the player. Somebody asked about usage rates for Gafford without Harrell. I mean, we could look that up. I think that's not really a correlated thing. It's more of a minutes that you would expect to see increase for Gafford with Harrell out. And I think on this slate, we discussed Nathan Knight already as a really, really cheap, almost free play today. I don't know that a mid 4 to 8K guy like Gafford against a slow paced game gets to high levels of interest to me. But I mean, for the sake of doing some research, we'll look it up here. Gafford has shown a propensity to be point per minute. I need some ceiling, and he's really in no man's land. Last couple games for him, 17, 21, 22, 26. So if you think in the absence of Montrezl Harrell, he could flirt with 30 minutes, sure, I don't mind it. I guess I would be a little bit more inclined to like his potential upside usage-wise if Bradley Beal was out. If Bradley Beal was in, I would feel pretty unremarkable about it. And even then, with Bradley Beal out, it wouldn't be like a stone-cold lock for me. But with Gafford today, it really just comes down to a solid minute projection versus usage, because the usage is not really going to change much because it doesn't play alongside Harrell much. What else we got here? LBJ is power forward on DK only. Yeah, the beauty of FanDuel. Angel Martinez says, who's the spends up on FanDuel? It's the same site to site. I think Jokic is just going to project as one of the best. But on FanDuel, they're going to give you a lot of options in the mid-tier. We've already discussed a couple of guys that are much, much cheaper on FanDuel than DK. So the pool does open up a little bit more. What up, Chalez? What up, Cheech? Bledsoe hurt in PrizePicks last night. Yeah, that game got lopsided. The Clippers threw in the white flag, the towel, and the Nets were like, we do not care. James Harden was out there. I'm telling you, he was playing against bag boys from Kroger for like 5 minutes down the stretch. It was bad. What are you gonna do? Adrian Adonis, what up, Shark? How about Jim Cornette? Listened to a little bit of that earlier. What up, Antoine? Yeah. In case I actually fall back asleep. Hope y'all win big. She's sleepy. Morning, afternoon, boom. All right, let's move on to the next game. Raptors hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. Project starting five for the Sixers. Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, taking on Delano Banton, Gary Trent Jr., Utah Watanabe, Pascal Siakam, Chris Boucher. Got 214.5 total, 5.5 point spread favor the visiting Philadelphia 76ers. So the Raptors, I think we have to be pretty fluid with the Raptors situation here. I know that we got news that a couple guys are still questionable. Some people cleared, some people may not play. Malachi Flynn, Precious Achua, Gary Trent got upgraded to probable. So did Siakam. So there is some flexibility to be had or responsibility to be fluid with keeping an eye on the Raptors situation. Obviously, if Flynn and honestly, Flynn wouldn't really move the needle for much for me right now. The way I've got minutes projected, Gary Trent for deep minutes, Siakam, I think we get to 30 plus. Utah Watanabe, I know he had that huge game, but I think the minutes go down for him. It just gets really, really ugly, and I don't think I get to 5-6K Boucher with Siakam in this particular matchup. So I would say if one more guy gets in, like a Flynn gets in, I probably raise my hands on the Raptors and just let that beat or beat me if it beats me. Siakam, I guess at under 8K on Fanduel is a little intriguing. If you were confident in his minutes, I guess it's worth doing a wowie on to see how Siakam has performed. We'll start from the beginning of last year and take off like Fred VanVleet. But for the most part, I think I'm going to feel pretty unstellar about prioritizing Raptors here. And unless I started, like I could see Gary Trent hitting like a tier 3 if he fell. I guess Siakam's the question mark here. So let's complete this query. Since the beginning of last year, Siakam without VanVleet, Siakam has had a 28% usage rate, over a fantasy point per minute. So I get there is a case to be made on Siakam. The warm and fuzzies are up to you if it's worth attacking the Sixers front court with Siakam. I think at 9-4 on DK, the decision's a little bit easier to say no. Yo, Hunter Light, appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the chat. Jump in, say you're. Jake, any moves, any leans on the Raptors? Does it seem like I'm good here? Just whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna go elsewhere.
Assuming the probables end up playing, probably, because as you meant, like, and it's also with Siakam at 9-4 on DK, that's tough. It's also his first game in 2 weeks, so is he going to come back and just play like 20? Because, like, when he was going off, he was getting 40 minutes, 38 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, is he going to come back and just get 30 now because it's his first game in 2 weeks? Kind of same for Gary Trent.
Yeah.
Yuta was fun, but, like, now with Gary Trent back, I can't imagine Yuta plays 37 minutes again.
Yeah, I think Trent's the guy that points per dollar, I think I land on a little bit, just like as a tier 3 stocking stuffer. But, I mean, Siakam under 8K is a little bit more of a thinking point. But, yeah, it's not like the matchup something I'm running to attack here. So, if I end up with no Raptors, I don't think I lose sleep tonight. It is what it is. On the Sixers side, though, Joel Embiid, he's 10.7 on FanDuel, 12.1 on DraftKings without... with the slate giving us a couple options for guys that could score 70 plus. Jokic being the guy that's most likely. Mentioned LeBron James. Steph Curry's an interesting click. I think Wiggins is back for him. But Joel Embiid does have that range of outcome where every now and then he could meet or exceed Jokic if Jokic has a more of a floor game and Embiid does it. Embiid has shown in the last couple games alone 60, 70 as a range of outcome. Now he does have probably a lower floor than Jokic in a competitive game, and the game script's on the user. But is there any interest in getting to Embiid today, or are we just going to take a stand on maybe Jokic or even a more balanced approach? At 12K, I need a lot.
Yeah, Embiid's in the pool, but I do think I would lean Jokic even in the Warriors matchup, just because like at 12K you need a lot, so maybe you dip down to go balanced. Or, I mean, the big thing with Embiid is he can have these massive games, but on DraftKings especially, Jokic can have triple doubles, and that's massive. Where Embiid's probably not putting up 10 assists very often.
Yeah. My boy Zach Scott says, can you check and see Siakam's game log against the Sixers? Feel like he always cooks them. Bunch of 40s in here. No 50s in his last 10. So, no 50s is enough at 9-4 on a bigger slate for tournaments to feel like that's not a thing. But I wouldn't be too stuck on BVP here. I'm more concerned about usage and minute projections, but nothing over 50. I would take those 40s at 78 on FanDuel, though. You mentioned Embiid for triple double or lacking maybe the triple double bonus on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he would get more points for the blocks and steals, and the Raptors allow, I think, a top 4, top 5 amount of blocks per game. So maybe something to think about. Yeah, right inside the top 8. The spread is only 5.5. We'll see if there's any movement if more Raptors get activated here. We know the Sixers have a propensity to play really down to opponents, or really maybe they're just bad because that Atlanta Hawks team skeleton crew went into Philly and knocked them around for 12 rounds. So maybe I'm just overthinking the Sixers or overestimating them. But yeah, they're 5.5 point favorites here, so that's going to give me a path to projecting this game staying rather close. I think Embiid's really the start and finish for me. Not much else for the Sixers team is standing out. Another big gap to at least point out, though, Tobias Harris is 7,200 on FanDuel, 9K on DraftKings. So there are so many 2K gaps from site to site. But I think Gary Trent, if I had to grab one name from the Raptors, it's Gary Trent. And if I had to grab one name from the Sixers, it's going to be a little bit of Joel Embiid. And that's all I got to say about that. Let's see what you guys got in the chat before we move on. McGuire says Mobley's too expensive with Love in play. I mean, Love has played plenty this year with Mobley just off the bench, so I don't think that's going to negatively impact him. But we'll talk about individually his price versus the rest of the slate. Andrew Martinez says thoughts on KPJ on FanDuel. Let me get to that game. I'm just going to go game by game here, chat. It's just easier. So if you guys got specific questions per game, it's kind of like catch it at the game. And if you have your own thoughts, like share it with the class. If you like somebody, maybe with a reason, drop it in chat, man. We'll revisit it, About to jump on these Waxahachie catfish. Yo, Shark, you always out there on the ravines, brother. That's good though. I haven't fished in a while, but it's incredible that my man's out here fishing on December 28th while Jake can't open his door.
I mean, there's ice fishing. That's a thing.
I couldn't do it.
No, not a big cold guy.
No, I'm a big guy, so I just don't trust it.
Oh no, the ice gets thick. You're fine. Yeah. People drive cars on ice. You're not as big as a car.
Not Twitter.com/Gundecker. No sir, we are not driving that ice road trucker stuff. That's nope, not happening for me. No, thank you. Cavs at the Pelicans is happening though. Ricky Rubio, Isaac Okoro, Larry Markin, and Evan Mobley, Kevin Love taking on Devontae Graham, Garrett Temple, Josh Hart, Herbert Jones, and Jonas Valanciunas. We got 212.5 total. 3.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Cavaliers. So a couple of notable outs. It does look like Mobley's going to be closer to in here if he isn't already probable. And then on the Pelicans side, Ingram got hurt that last game, and he's listed as doubtful. Josh Hart has something next to his name. Let me see if we can get the 411 on that. Pelicans is right here. Josh Hart has a Q tag on him. He's dealing with a left ankle sprain. Ingram's dealing with an Achilles. So if they don't have Josh Hart, they could be leaning on Garrett Temple. Is NAW still listed as out? He is. So yes. We might get friend of the channel, Devontae Graham, stepping up and picking up some slack here. I think with Evan Mobley back, we do have to at least appreciate that he is one of the best defenders in all of basketball, which could murky the waters here for the Pelicans to really thrive in the absence of Ingram. But if Josh Hart can't go, Devontae Graham, you have to assume, picks up a lot of slack, or at least has more responsibility to pick up slack. And then J-Val as well. Another giant gap in price, Jake. 2K. 7,700 for J-Val on Fanduel. You're just like, yep, no Ingram, I'll play that. 97 on DraftKings, and they make you sweat it. So it's really such a different experience to play on Fanduel versus DraftKings today. And then on the Cavs side, I buried the lead. Darius Garland's down. They've been without Colin Sexton essentially all year now. Ricky Rubio, unleash the Rubio. He's 67 on FanDuel, 64 on DK. I think he has a true ceiling. Maybe I'm a sucker, but he certainly popped off several times this year. That if we put 30-plus minutes of him against our buddy Devontae Graham, there's a world where 40-plus fantasy points happens more than 25. There's a giant peen in the parking lot. I don't know if you heard that. That guy. Ricky Rubio is borderline a tier 1 for me from this far out. Handcuffing him to the next guy is a little bit tougher. It's easy to want to be excited about Evan Mobley, but Kevin Love is a guy that I don't hate. Larry Markkinen is hit or miss, but the shot volume should be there. But Ricky Rubio feels like a guy I can trust because I know in his skill set is the ability, the propensity to go out there and get assists and stuff like that. The last game was just an absolute laugher. I think this game could stay a little bit closer, just a 3-point spread. What's standing out to you? For me, it's Rubio, Devontae Graham, J-Val. Devontae would probably be tier 3. Rubio's borderline tier 1. And J-Val on FanDuel is knocking on the door of tier 1. But I'm probably responsible and put him as tier 2. Where are you at on these player rankings?
I agree for the most part. The one thing is, like, if Josh Hart plays, he's questionable. If he plays, love Josh Hart. I think he's a top-tier play for me. I've been playing him consistently for the last couple of weeks. He just keeps producing 30s and 40s, and now with no Ingram. He put at 57 with Ingram going out early. Independent of that, I really like Temple as a value. I know you don't sound so sold on him, but in that game without Ingram, he came in. I know it was the game of, but with no he played 35 minutes in that game, put up 37 DKP, took 17 shots. If Josh Hart's out, theoretically, that's even more to go around. Although at that point, I start worrying, can they keep competitive with a sneaky good Cleveland team? But and then Kevin Love, who continues to play 22 minutes and put up 40 DraftKings points somehow.
No matter what.
Every game. He never gets minutes. Now Mobley's back, so I don't think he'll get more minutes now, and he'll just put up 40 at 30% owned and kill me again.
397 minutes of Jonas Valanciunas on the court this year, and Brandon Ingram not on the court. J-Val's had a 28% usage rate, 1.3 DraftKings points per minute, 1.28 on FanDuel. Yeah, the matchup's a little bit tougher crossing up with Mobley, but the usage is the usage, and the minutes should be there. So I think on FanDuel we're taking a strong look at J-Val. Looking at this split of J-Val on and Ingram off, I didn't take off NAW and Josh Hart yet because I feel like that would just extremely dilute the sample size here. So I want to at least have a picture of what to expect. Devontae is third in this split in usage, 22%. You take out NAW and Josh Hart, Devontae could be first or second, probably second. And that makes him a little bit more intriguing. I do think 40 happens every now and then in this split, but it's not a constant. So tier 3 for me. And then, yeah, I could buy into Garrett Temple, just minutes equal money. I didn't mean to poo-poo him as a play. I just didn't think he would end up as a core value for me or anything like that, just because he's Garrett Temple. But maybe I should give him a little bit more respect. How that last game for the Pelicans, OKC, 37. Yeah, I'd absolutely take 10x if they're gonna give it to me. 17 shot attempts is encouraging. Yeah, maybe I'll heighten expectations as we get closer. But you would say that has to have Josh Hart out, right?
No, I could get behind Temple even with Hart in.
I only give him 20 minutes.
I mean, Hart played 40 minutes in that last game and put up almost 60 as well. Obviously, I don't expect that, but I think Hart and Temple are both top tier plays for me, assuming Ingram doesn't go from doubtful to in before lock.
Was somebody else out that last game?
No, but he's still out.
Yeah. He played the entire fourth with Josh Hart, with Devontae, with Herbert Jones. Maybe I'll adjust his minutes here, but I didn't give him that many minutes. But I'll have to relook at. It doesn't look like I'm. I don't know. Maybe I'm lower than I should be on his minute projection. And I guess if I move the needle to 30, even 35, taking out Trey Murphy, Gary Clark. Yeah, I guess I can buy into it.
Like the only other guy that's really still there at that, like to fill those positions, would be Satoransky. And if Satoransky wanted to get minutes, I'd play that. But it just doesn't seem like they want to play him deep minutes.
Yeah, just 16 minutes last game. Gary Clark, 12 minutes. Yeah, I guess I have to move the needle on his minute expectations here. Trey Murphy, yeah, I have to raise it, I guess. Let's get caught up on chat here on this game. This game seems like it could be pretty important. Garrett Temple did project for decent ownership. We'll see if it sticks with that. Temple never gets ownership in these spots. I'll be playing him. We'll see, Quinn. I think he wouldn't be a secret. I would think more people get to him if Josh Hart is out. It looks like he's playable regardless, but if Josh Hart got ruled out, I think people would either look at him or just like expect this game to be extremely lopsided. Luke says Herbert Jones could be a sneaky tournament play at low ownership, solid peripherals, and will get some extra shot volume. Maybe goes this way rather than Hart Temple. Yeah, that's not a crazy outcome. I could see it. Saw 37 minutes last game. Yeah, if you're playing 10 lineups, if you really like a player, what percentage of those 10 lineups would you have that player in? So Frank, that's a good question. For me, it would come down to the ownership projection. If I, like yesterday, I like JaVale McGee. I expect him to be pretty high owned. I like Jaylen Brown. Obviously, we like James Harden. Now, these are more cookie cutter household name examples. But for instance, yesterday, those guys were projected to be 40-50% owned. Some spots had them 60-70% owned, and they were 70% owned. So, like, if I knew a player that I like is going to be 70% owned, it's probably all or nothing in 10 lineups. So I'd probably place an ownership in context to the projected ownership. If you think if a guy that you like is only going to be 20-30% owned, I can still have leverage, positive leverage for my expectations on the field with 50-60%, and then still also have a little bit of cushion if they didn't quite get there. So for me, the short answer is I want my ownership to be leverage relative to the field. So make sure you're looking at ownership projections. Garrett Temple, I thought Chronic was on stream for a second.
I haven't started Ramon sessions yet. We'll get there.
There's a lot of Garrett Temple discussion so far. I think we've hit our quota. Man. What's the play? Look at Dion in chat. The fakeness. Logan Paul's better than Mike Tyson. Thoughts? Frank says I'm a production manager, roadie in the entertainment industry. That's what I do. Nice. That sounds fun. I'm trying. I guess Danny's talking about ice fishing. Ice fishing. I couldn't do it, man. You will not catch me walking on a frozen. First of all, giant body of water be darned. My big self just don't need to be on ice. You know what I mean?
Oh, come on. It's fine. It's not that slippery.
You seen that Twitter video? The guy falling on ice for like a minute. That'd just be me. I'd just be tumbling, rumbling, stumbling. All right, Ricky Rubio, tier 1 potential, and that's it. Well, Evan Mobley, AK, would you get there? Like, the Pelicans is an exploitable spot at the front court. I do like centers against the Pelicans, and Mobley and Kevin Love can be interchangeable here, and maybe they even, still throw a curveball and have Love, come off the bench. But would you get to Mobley at 8-1 at all on DraftKings first game back?
I probably don't, just because I'm worried about he's still tagged as Q with conditioning. I would expect him to play, but if they're worried enough about his conditioning to tag him, I feel like he's not going to come back playing 38 minutes.
That's pretty fair. Let's move on to the next game here. Lakers at the Rockets. I'm coming home, except it's not my home. It's a remix. It's coming out. Bless you. I heard her sneeze through the door. Good Lord. Project starting 5 for the Lakers, Russell Westbrook. Not Wayne Ellington. He got ruled out right as I went live. So we'll see if they call up Malik Monk into the starting lineup. Maybe Darren Collison for the good old days. Maybe Avery Bradley. Taylor Horton-Tucker, LeBron James, Dwight Howard up against KPJ, Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Daniel Tice, and Christian Wood. I don't know why I have Tice here. They don't seem to like to use him much. I took this from RotoWire. 224 is our total, 5.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Lakers. So the Lakers catching the Rockets, night two of back-to-back. The Rockets going from Charlotte to Houston, right? I got that right. And the Lakers are still just 5-point favorites. I usually target both these teams when it comes to DFS, so we'll see if we can get to this game with a decent level of confidence. I feel like with the Rockets, it's going to be a little bit tougher to stabilize our expectations, not knowing exactly what to expect minute-wise from a returning KBJ or Jalen Green. Maybe Eric Gordon gets rested on a back-to-back for the sake of it being a back-to-back. And then I swear if Christian Wood curtain calls last night with like the tournament winner when KBJ and Jalen Green's back, I'm going to be so frustrated in life. But on the Lakers side, LeBron James is just doing animalistic things to fantasy scores. 11.3 on DK, 10.9 on Fanduel. So while 11.3, still sounds like a lot. This is a LeBron James that 9-10K a month ago we weren't confident clicking. In context, he's $1,100 cheaper than Nikola Jokic, and there's a real world where 60 plus fantasy points is coming. He's had 60 plus in 3 of his last 4 games, and a lot tougher matchups. A couple, dates with Phoenix, and there's a date with Phoenix in there. So I think LeBron James has every right to be one of the highest raw fantasy point scorers on the slate. I got him over 60 on FanDuel, knocking on the door 60 on DK, and then Russell Westbrook. Obviously, his outcomes have been closer to 40 than 60 these days, but the matchup is the matchup, and without AD, I'm still looking at him for shot, for peripherals, baby triple-double last slate against the Brooklyn Nets. But the minutes were there, and the shots have been there, 19 or more shots in 4 straight games. That could be as little as 13 points, as much as 30 real points, and if you fill in the peripherals to boot, I'm with it. We know that Houston, when they were full strength with the KPJ, Jalen Green, Christian Wood lineup earlier this season, and still, kind of sustained it, they turned the ball over just about more than any team in the league. So while Westbrook is notorious for turning the ball over himself, he's kind of he doesn't get the credit for getting a couple steals per game with those hustle stats. So I do think on FanDuel under 10K, you might fill up a couple of steals against this Rockets team, and he might fill a role for me. Obviously, LeBron James has to be ranked first here, but I don't mind getting to a little bit of Westbrook just to say I'm there. We'll see what that is relative to the field. Something that happened in that Lakers-Nets game that impacted me was Dwight Howard was not called upon again after his first rotation. They went full on small ball, and obviously that's probably circumstantial with the Nets being as small as they are. Nick Claxton and the like, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony kind of filling in the role as centers for the Lakers here. We'll see if they thought that lineup was efficient enough that it's worth trying again. Obviously, whatever they're doing isn't working, so switching it up as they go, not a bad thing. Maybe they sell out for size considering the matchup. If they do cross up with Wood, Daniel Tice, Sengun, guys like that, maybe Howard has a stronger chance at minutes here. But it is something to keep an eye on, because if they do lean on Carmelo Anthony a little bit more minute-wise to fill up that front court, we can get him some more peripherals. And Carmelo was a tournament-winning play against the Nets. And I know the Nets, without KD and their group of core players, definitely is a lateral, if not a full-on backstep defensively. But the Rockets are not a good defense either. So not to expect 40-plus from Carmelo game to game, but you weaken the matchup like this, maybe Melo does have a shot at being a double-double kind of guy if they start exploring this no-center lineup where Melo gets a little bit more run. 11 boards that last game, 17 real points, and a couple of peripherals, 5 stocks to kind of fill in the role here. The minutes is what is most alluring to me. And then, like I said, we take out Wayne Ellington. Maybe we move Malik Monk into the mix as well. So I think there's a lot to like here. There's obviously a lot to control. Meaning I can make cases for Westbrook, LeBron, Melo, Malik Monk, but the likelihood of them all, achieving a coexistent ceiling is a little more unlikely. So I probably manage that with player correlations and player grouping on Fantasy Cruncher. But there's a lot to like individually. But there's a lot of questions on this Houston side, Jake. Is there any lean for you on Houston, or are you just Lakers only if Houston's going to have a 10-man rotation?
The only thing I think I would consider even getting to on Houston is if Daniel Tice starts, I'll play him, same as yesterday. He didn't start yesterday. I wouldn't expect him to start today, but on the off chance he does. Other than that, Christian Wood, just so if he puts up 60 today, I don't kick myself even more than I would otherwise. But that's probably it for Houston, because we don't know what Kevin Porter's minutes will look like. We don't know what Jalen Green's minutes will look like. If we got any indication, I'm like, hey, Jalen Green's a full go, maybe I get there. But other than that, I don't know. Probably just small Christian Wood shares just to not hate my life if he goes for 60.
Yeah, I have a small share of Christian Wood myself. Awkward silence.
No.
I
will say though, I assume he'll start. I actually really like Malik Monk because I hate money, I guess. But he played 35 minutes that last game, and that was with Ellington in. So Ellington out should hopefully secure his minutes more.
Monk is a baller, and the Lakers' biggest problem obviously is they don't spread the court or spread the floor like they should. They don't have great spacing. And Westbrook gets a lot of slack for taking bad shots and shooting 4 for 20. But Malik Monk is so good, and he's been out for a long stretch. Him coming back, he can be an impact player, an impact scorer. And if Taylor Horton Tucker is closer to the good shooter than the bad shooter, if you put Monk and THC on the court, I think the Lakers could definitely be a lot more efficient. So I'm excited to see what that rotation could look like if they do really sell out for the small ball and get like center LeBron in the mix here and put Melo in their front court. I can't be results oriented based on the Rockets matchup, but that is a lineup that I'm curious with because I do have a high hope for Malik Monk, man. He's a baller. He's a bucket. So I'm with you. I'll play some Malik Monk, kind of like a Peyton Pritchard where at least in this rotation, Malik Monk could be as strong as a number 2 scoring option or as little as a number 5, depending on the lineup that's out there. But he has the potential, and he absolutely has the matchup today. And then just assuming that, I don't know, there hasn't been much on this KPJ Jalen Green minute expectations. Jalen Green, I think, has a little bit more under his belt than KPJ lately. We saw him play the other night on the 23rd against the Pacers, put in 25 minutes. So maybe they slow boogie him up to a few more minutes here. Dropped 20 real points in that game, but no KPJ in that one. It's just so hard to feel confident with any individual Rockets without somebody else getting ruled out. Like I said, I do think there's a loose chance in my mind that like maybe a veteran like Eric Gordon could get a night off. Yo, Dominic, appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. And then Şengün, you mentioned Daniel Tice. I think Daniel Tice got minutes yesterday almost because Şengün was in foul trouble. Came in and got 2 quick fouls. Ended up with 5 fouls in 21 minutes. And Silas, for whatever reason, for a guy that he probably wouldn't play 20 to 30 minutes anyway, Silas called Tice's number, and Tice got 22 minutes yesterday. So I'm with you. If Tice isn't in the starting lineup, I probably am going to sit this one out. There's immediate pivots to Nathan Knight at that price anyway. So not a real reason to get there. But we have seen bigs thrive against the Lakers. So Christian Wood maybe being a day late isn't an outlier range of outcomes. So I might get there. Chat, you guys got any strong leans on this one before we move on? William McGuire says Westbrook will pop up today. I don't know. I don't want to. You guys know I'm a Westbrook guy, right? I'm gonna have some Westbrook today. I'm gonna have more LeBron. I'm gonna be responsible with it, but I love this matchup for Westbrook. I love him coming back to Houston, and it seems like a free trip dub spot, even though Karl-Anthony Towns has kind of stirred controversy around him. Don't stare at the screen like that. This ain't The Office. It's the punchline indicator.
No, just no. I'm sure he does it in voice chat too, and we just can't see him.
Yeah. No, yeah. Minnesota nobodies, my bad. Monk is at 10% owned. That's not too bad. Is that post the Ellington news? If so, then yeah, 10% is worth having a share of. Arizona drama. What up, Arizona? So frustrating. of the Blazers and Dame cost me a big takedown. Still cash big, but wow, they are so awful looking to cash again today. Yeah, I had 25% Dame before the Hawks game started, and we didn't have Dame news, so I just split the difference and went 17% Trey, 17% Dame. Neither was like overly impactful for me, but yeah, the Blazers, they're having a rough go of it. Yikes. Let's move on to the next game. Knicks at the T-Wolves. Project 35 for the Knicks. Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson taking on Patrick Beverley, Malik Beasley, Jake Layman, Jaden McDaniels, Nathan Knight. A couple of Q tags afloat on the T-Wolves. Injury report, I guess. Hello. I don't know why it blinked there. Patrick Beverley, we got news that he was going to be probable, right? He's probable, and then that front court, we're waiting on Naz Reid confirmation.
Wayne Selden just got ruled out for the Knicks for health protocol, so we might be having more Knicks stuff going on.
Here we go. So they just got like a couple people back from that, right? So. Yes.
They got everybody back, I think.
So I don't know how it works. You already got it. You're good, right? It's the chicken pox of the month. I don't know. So yeah, I guess we'll watch that. They got Grimes. I don't know. What a headache. So keep an eye on that chat. Anyway, on the T-Wolves, we're trying to piece this together. We've got a couple games of sample size now of T-Wolves basketball without their main starters. Now, last night, obviously they didn't have Patrick Beverley. Tonight, getting him back in the mix. Maybe that moves McLaughlin back to the bench here, and maybe Jalen Noel doesn't drop 30 real points. I'm not sure. But what we do know, and what seems to be a constant, is Nathan Knight, if Naz Reid still doesn't go. Even if Naz Reid played, there might be a world and a path to success here for Nathan Knight. He fouled out yesterday in 29 minutes, but he was an incredible play per minute, and I expect him to garner a ton of ownership running it back here against a tougher Knicks front court. Knicks do run a medium to low pace here, and the T-Wolves are on a back-to-back. So maybe there's some not 30, 40 fantasy point expectations for Nathan Knight today. But the projection still loves him. And, Jake, he's so gosh dang cheap. How does this happen?
I mean, sometimes you just got to put Greg Monroe in it 1K more expensive or 2K on FanDuel because that makes sense.
And Monroe had a fine night too, right? But it's just like how do you fix somebody on the same team and not fix somebody else?
How do you think Greg Monroe is a 4.5 or 5.5K player when Nathan Knight on his team did better than him? And it's like, yeah, he's 3K.
It's ridiculous. So I mean, obviously Nathan Knight's going to project really well. We love that he's power forward on FanDuel. If Naz Reid is in, would that change anything for you?
Yeah. I'm really curious with his conditioning because he missed like 2 days in health protocols. How much conditioning did he do? What did he do for 2 days? But that last game with when Naz Reid played, against Utah with everybody out, he played 36 minutes. So if Naz Reid's going to come back and eat anywhere near that number of minutes, it's going to take away from pretty much everybody else.
And let's say he was active, and Nate Knight was drawing like a 30-40% market share ownership. Would you think that's enough to sit out? Like if you thought Nathan Knight it's just he's so cheap that there's so many. Like if you got, I guess him being center only on DK is a little interesting because you can easily lap him with a Jokic and Embiid lineup or something like that. So I guess it's a tougher concept to get around on FanDuel with him being power forward eligible. But I guess on DK, if you got news that Naz Reid was in and Nate Knight is 3,200, but he's like 40% owned. Would you just would you avoid that even if you thought he scored 25 fantasy points? So do you think there's a different way to skin the cat to win a tournament today? He did get foul trouble yesterday too. Like maybe against Julius Randle that could pick up. I don't know. I'm just trying to talk myself to be contrarian. It's tough because of the price though.
If Naz Reid's in and we get Knight's not starting and it's Naz Reid at the 5, especially on DraftKings, I probably do get away with center only. It's not a 1v1 price-wise. Naz Reid's 4,800, but Naz Reid does have power forward eligibility. So if I'm going anywhere, I'd probably just opt to go there if he's in and starting because we know, he's the guy. Naz Reid's an actual member of the team. He's gotten actual minutes consistently before this whole thing with everybody being out. So you assume he's the guy they want on the floor. It's not like he missed time. He missed one game with health protocols.
Kind of weird how that worked, but I guess it's probably one of those they knew it was a back-to-back, so they just kind of went one way with it. Other than that, the T-Wolves are missing all of their starters except Beverly here. I thought I read that Anthony Edwards tested out, but maybe I missed something.
He tested out, but he's not expected to play for conditioning.
Yeah, I guess it's different. It's so different player to player.
He also hasn't played in 2 weeks, and I assume because of that, he probably actually had it.
Yeah. So I take off Cat, D. Ross, Anthony Edwards. I'm just going to put on Malik Beasley. 76 minutes of sample size. Beasley has a 24% usage rate. Jalen Noel gets to 25. Nathan Knight, 21. Nasri, 24. It's a lot of 20s here. No one's really scraping 30. And then to add to the mix here, Patrick Beverly, a vet in this situation. Maybe we're not expecting a bunch of real points, but is there a role for Beverly maybe double-doubles with or say assists and rebounds, or at least it fills up the stat sheet enough that it becomes playable and almost forgotten about? I think 58 on Fanduel, 54 on DK. Not that it's 1-to-1 to like a Ricky Rubio, but I feel like 5 to 6K people are just gonna get to Ricky Rubio. Is there any interest in Pat Beverly being the sneaky in front of your face starter play against the Knicks with all of the starting lineup out?
Yeah, I prefer Rubio, but albeit not exactly direct price correlation, at least on DraftKings. But yeah, I like Pat Bev, assuming, I guess Anthony Edwards is already out. No matter what, assuming Pat Bev plays and starts, I like him.
Yeah, a lot of trickle effect question marks too. And like we said yesterday, Jalen Noel was a bucket off the bench here, and I always say that sometimes it's overstated. When a player doesn't start, people don't get there on a couple guys. And we've mentioned a couple scenarios like Tice where like it makes sense not to get there because you can't really bank on Tice being in the rotation. Looks like Noel after yesterday. Like I feel like he's going to get a decent run. But 29 real points is wild, but I think double-digit real points is not a crazy expectation. But I guess at the same breath, 35 minutes probably goes down at least 10 minutes if Beverly's in the mix. And they do have they have a bunch of guards. They have
McLaughlin, who played big minutes. They have Bolmaro, who's still there. Obviously, they have Noel. And just adding Pat Bevan, who comes back and probably wants 30 minutes. Somebody's got to eat. Like, somebody's got to lose minutes there.
On the Knicks side, Kemba Walker, 7-6 on FanDuel, 69 on DK. Going through one of the better stretches of his career the last 2-3 seasons. 40 minutes, 43, 40 minutes his last 3 games. He's getting the Thibodeau treatment. Has exceeded 40-plus fantasy points in 4 straight games. I know I'm dogging on the sites for the Nathan Knight price point, but how much does Kemba got to be for you not to play him here? Is he still in the mix for you? I only put him at 31 minutes. I do have Alec Burks. We do have Quentin Grimes. You did mention that Wayne Selden just got nerfed. Maybe there's more guards to come. But what do you expect out of Kemba? And would you still get to some shares of him even at 7K? He's shown us minutes are there for him, and propensity to drop 40+ has been there.
I think he's in play. At his new price, 40's less of a, this is an elite day, and more of a, this is closer to what I need. And the big thing, as far as like his minutes would go, Quickly's back for the first time. He's not tagged anymore. He's active. He's good to go. I imagine Kemba still plays, still starts, and keeps a good rotation spot because of how well he's played.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really need to play 40 minutes with Quickly back.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. You can't really expect players to average 40 minutes. It is Tom Thibodeau, though.
It's true.
Any other Knicks for you today? I think Randall, another guy that's 2K different site to site, but 10.5K Julius Randle just doesn't seem like that's going to fall much, considering, one, his outcomes with Kemba Walker on average this year just hasn't been a true ceiling at that price point, and then two, just like that's a down payment on LeBron James, right?
Yeah, it's only 800 off on DK, both power forward. Alec Burks is another one who, especially with everybody back, I can't get to, and DK still, for some reason, has decided he's a 7K player and won't budge on that. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't think he's had one game warranting that 7K price tag in the last month, but he's keeping the tag. So maybe I'll get to some Kemba, assuming if he doesn't, it's another one where we mentioned like players don't have to be starting. If Kemba's not starting, then I get real concerned because he was out of the rotation until this last couple weeks.
Bro, if he got bitch. Also, Thibodeau revenge game if you're into that. Anyway, chat, man, there's over 200 of you guys hanging out, man. I can't tell you how much that means to me. Every day, we're breaking records. And there's many ways to support the stream. Liking it is one way. We get over 100 likes, then you make my day. If you haven't subscribed, hit that red subscribe button. We're trying to get to 6K subs. And then you do have the VIP memberships at Run DFS. But even if you don't want to come out your pocket, open up that wallet, you still just want to play DFS, you can support me by signing up to PrizePicks and using code GUNDACKER. If you use code GUNDACKER, they will match your first deposit up to $100. And then, of course, they show me some love once a month. So it kind of makes it worth it. PrizePicks is one of the I think the most incredible up-and-coming DFS sites that just showed up, grinded, had a player acquisition plan of attack, and offered a product unique enough versus the rest of the field, and it's just like so much fun. We've seen a lot of sites just try to be DraftKings light or Fanduel light, and they come and go, but PrizePicks has done it a little bit differently, and every Tuesday, PrizePicks does what they call Taco Tuesday. And what they do is they'll put a discount on certain players' projection. And you get kind of like an opportunity to get a lower projection on a guy to bet his over or under or something like that. If you're completely unfamiliar with PrizePicks, I definitely recommend you try it out. You can download it on your Android, Apple iPhone, stuff like that. They have a great desktop client as well, and they have been getting better week by week. Right now, their Taco Tuesday special, Jake, is Giannis Antetokounmpo, 21.5 real points against the Orlando Magic. We mentioned blowouts, and blowouts can be kind of scary, but a lot of times if there's a blowout, it means they did their job, and Giannis Antetokounmpo has well over 21.5 real points. He was projected initially at 25.5. Right now you can get him at 21.5. You can get that for another hour and 15 minutes, and then they'll have one more Taco Tuesday special, so you can kind of anchor these picks with other picks that you might have. And it's not just for NBA. Jake, you mentioned college football. You're sweating that.
Oh, well, that's one way to describe it.
Are you watching this AF? Is it Louisiana?
Air Force Louisville? No, but here's your glowing endorsement for PrizePicks. If, say, hypothetically, a 4-game bowl slate on DraftKings or FanDuel, and one of the games just happens to get canceled after lock, PrizePicks, you don't have to retool your lineups. It just counts that it's a DNP, and you don't essentially lose because half of your lineup got postponed.
So they have second half props for this Louisville Air Force game. Hazik Daniels, 25.5 rushing yards. Trevion Cooley, 27.5 rushing yards. Brad Roberts, 50.5 rushing yards. Any of those sound appealing, or is that on point?
It's an interesting spot. Air Force being an option offense, and they're ahead right now. Roberts being the fullback, he'll get the primary work. I would love the Cooley prop, being that he's the only running back left for Louisville, but they're down 14 points right now early in the second quarter, so not sure how much they'll actually be looking to run the ball in the second half.
That's true, and that's a good thing. They don't just have halves for football; they have it for NBA as well. So if you're watching a game and you feel the game script, you feel the game getting a little lopsided, like for tonight, if the Bucks are up 30 at half. Maybe you start taking some unders on some starters for the second half. Plenty of ways to find a lane, find some edge on PrizePicks. But go check it out. They don't just have basketball, college football. They have NFL props, college basketball, and hockey's back. And you can put them all together. And then, of course, CSGO. Jake's a little shark on CSGO as well. Check that out. You could bet individual props, rebounds, assists, fantasy scores, 3-point mains. I like looking at the fantasy scores, and I like comparing their projection versus mine. And, I just trust mine. If I could find a decent gap, 6 to 10 fantasy points difference in mine versus their model, I'll bet it. So check it out. Use code GUNDACKER. It'll be lit. Daniel Price is sus. Somebody is spamming. All right, Denver Nuggets at the Golden State Warriors, projected starting 5 for the Nuggets. Monte Morris, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, and Nikola Jokic taking on Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Otto Porter Jr., Jonathan Kuminga, and Kevin Looney. We have a 217.5 total, 7.5 point spread in favor of the Golden State Warriors. Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. He has the highest raw fantasy point projection on the slate right now. It is a 7.5 point spread. It is Golden State at home. They are getting Wiggins back. So there is, I guess, a range of outcome for a potential blowout. But Jokic is Jokic. He's a beast. He's an MVP for a reason. Might be something to keep an eye on, man. Danny's got Danny's got a whole squad of haters coming in hot. So I guess Jokic 12.4K. I got him leading the slate in projected fantasy points. I'm indifferent on this spot because I do feel like the Warriors being the Warriors, Draymond Green being the mad scientist that he is in terms of trying to defend Jokic. I do wonder if they come up with some scheme to maybe not prevent Jokic from being a high floor play, but maybe enough to make him not the best play on the slate at 12.4K. So I guess I'll be wrestling with that. And then the Warriors getting Wiggins back, one of their better guard wing defenders as well. What are your initial leans on this one? Do you have a tell on Jokic? Do you have a confidence in Jokic here, or do you feel like you might be light on him versus the field?
I don't know. I'll probably be light compared to the field just because he ends up being super popular. Not because I think Jokic is a bad play. I think Jokic is almost always a great play. But on DraftKings at 12.4, I find that once you're even with all the value that we have, it feels like balanced builds compared to, on most nights, compared to getting up to a 12-4 player tend to work out better, especially on the chance that Jokic puts up a 50, which is a great game, but not for 12K.
Yeah. I wonder, I don't know, let's look at a history of Jokic. Nikola Jokic, DKP by game log versus, let's go Warriors last 10 games. Bro,
I'd also really like to know what's going on with Aaron Gordon, who keeps being fine and then questionable and then not playing every day.
Last 10 games for Jokic, there's 2 games above 50, and that happened 37 minutes in April of last year, 36 minutes in January of last year. Of course, last year's a little bit different, right? It wasn't really like the full-strength Warrior, so I don't know, man. I might talk myself into maybe being light on Jokic here. I guess it would have come down to where the field is at versus where I should be at. I don't know that he's projecting to be uber chalk or anything like that. I guess let's talk about the Warriors as well. Steph Curry, 11.5K. He's another guy I got probably top 4, top 5 on the slate potential projected fantasy points. So I guess there is a world where it would be only natural to want to run a couple of lineups where you got Curry at Jokic and just let him go. But like I said, I think Golden State at home is already a dangerous spot to try and keep this competitive. And then Curry has an consistently inconsistent fantasy score in the far right column of the game log, to where 11.5K it becomes expendable if you just get 50 or 40 fantasy points. The ceiling has not been as constant, even in the stretch without Wiggins, without Jordan Poole. So something to keep, something to weigh. Is it okay to? Danny just walked by. She's got. I don't know what's going on.
I don't either.
What I do know is that you have to be a sub to the channel to type in chat. So I don't know if I'm farming subs right now.
Roll into the subs.
So shout out to that. What's your lean on Steph Curry here? I don't know. I feel like there's a world where I could talk myself out of this game completely, which sounds crazy because it's Curry versus Jokic.
I feel like my stance would. They're not the same position, unfortunately, but I feel like I'd just go to LeBron over Curry for 200 cheaper on DK.
Yeah, I think his floor is higher and the ceiling is similar, and the Lakers' defense has been so bad. Dude, I'm about to check my sub count here. We started the day.
Yeah, this is like number 10.
so I only have 7 new subs, so I don't know. I don't know how this is happening, but what are you gonna do? Yeah, and then if Aaron Gordon got out, I guess Jeff Green at 3,900. There's a world where that pops, but yeah. Also, I mentioned Draymond Green being the mad scientist. I got him listed out, so maybe that makes me like. Maybe I can get Jokic a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe Otto Porter stays in play at 5K with no Draymond.
Yeah, he's 65 on Fanduel.
Oh, whoa! DraftKings finally got one.
Yeah, DK, we got one.
We got one. Let's go.
And then maybe Gary Payton stays in the mix. Got him 31 minutes. That dude is involved, man. He hustles every play. So if I felt confident in him getting some run here, depending on what they might do with their four here, Kuminga, Bielisa, Juan Toscano Anderson, would they stretch out Otto Porter? It's a couple ranges of outcomes. So, all right, yeah, I guess. Oh man, I'll be waiting on Jokic. I definitely know that I probably don't tier 1 Jokic here. I'm probably gonna tier 2 him, and I have tier 1 him at 12+K several times in the past week or so, but probably not here. I'm gonna try and get caught up on chat. I don't know if we got rid of the spam, but yeah. What up, Brian C? What up, Sharkula Allen? No Draymond. Wiggins gonna beast out. That's actually a interesting take here. So maybe Draymond being out, maybe I could feel stronger about Curry as well, because Draymond is somebody that could ball handle and create some plays and whatnot. So let's go run an on-off court tool query for the Golden State Warriors. 230 plus. Chat, we hit another season high in concurrent viewers, so shout out to you guys. I don't know where Rayon likes, but maybe like 30 of it is this one guy though. Maybe it's just one guy. Draymond Green, let's take him off. Let's take off Jordan Poole as well. And I'm just gonna put Curry on to see what kind of clicks. With 313 minutes of sample size, Curry has a 31% assist rate and 35% usage rate. So I'm kind of curious where that fluctuates from Draymond being on versus off. He also averages 1.5 fantasy points per minute. Does this change anything for you now that I'm processing the Draymond? 1.5 to 30% usage rate. If I put Curry on the court with Draymond, the 1.5 for Curry goes to 1.4. The usage rate drops 5%, or excuse me, the assist rate drops 5%.
Those are big numbers.
It's not insignificant. What is Steph Curry's assist prop on PrizePicks if he has one? I wonder if I can take advantage. Is it Stephen Curry? Oh, there we go. 7 assists. Yeah, they ain't playing.
They moved that one.
Yeah, he literally averages 6 on the season. They ain't playing. I guess also in this split we should be cognitive of Wiggins. So Wiggins, let's put Draymond on the offside. Let's put Wiggins on the onside. Because Wiggins might be one of those obvious in retrospect plays too. Only 37 minutes of sample size on that. Wiggins a little over $1.25. Let's go home. Let's go home. Yo, Squeak Diesel.
Let's go home. Let's go home.
Appreciate that dollar dono, Squeak, man. Much love. Hope you guys are doing all right out there. You and your family, Squeak. Yeah, maybe Wiggins is obvious in hindsight. I don't know if he's a conditioning worry, but on FanDuel he's under 6K. Looking for the north side of 30 fantasy points to feel like I'm getting a good deal. I guess that's close to 7K on DK for tournament maximum upside. I probably want 40 plus, but maybe Wiggins does get introduced into a player pool on FanDuel. And then if Aaron Gordon was out, would you pair Jokic or at least introduce Will Barton into the mix at 5.4 on FanDuel, 6K? Much like Wiggins, I'm looking for 30 plus. A little late stocking stuffer. Probably wouldn't tier 1 either one of them, but would you get to a little bit of Barton?
Yeah, Barton would definitely make his way into the pool. The last 2 games without Aaron Gordon, he's played 34 and 36 minutes. Obviously not a great matchup against the Warriors, but we know what Will Barton can do. He can have those massive games. So if we get news that Gordon's out, yeah, Barton makes the lower tier of the pool.
Yeah, Quinn says 7 assists is too high for Curry. I'll take an under on that. I'm indifferent. I definitely think clearly his assist rate goes up. Let me double check with Wiggins. There's really not a sample size. Steph Curry goes to 38%, but it's only 37 minutes on that one. Maybe we go back to last year, and see if we can broaden the sample size just a little bit. Of Curry, Wiggins, no Poole, no Draymond. Curry is at a 33% assist rate. Normalized a little bit, but he's still holding that 1.5 fantasy point per minute. Man, I might have to think a little bit stronger, a little bit longer. Steph Curry. I guess I would let's see. Steph Curry 11.5. I mean, Curry's more expensive than LeBron. Do you you got LeBron for a higher floor than Curry?
Yeah, just because, Curry's obviously got the crazy upside. If he hits a bunch of threes, he can have 40 real point games. But, more often, if somebody's putting up, 30 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists, or some crazy game, it's LeBron. He just does everything.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Chat, we got one game left on the docket. Take a pause for the cause. Immediately following this stream, I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord and more specifically in the NBA voice chat. If you guys want to hang out with me, grind until lock, talk some plays, jump in there. You can just text chat if you want to in the NBA, type some words. But if you click on the NBA chat, you can grab a mic, join in, grab some headsets. Me and the gang talking it up, chopping it up, having some fun, creating a player pool. We got a crew out there hunting PrizePicks plays. I'll be carving out projections, my personal player pool. If you guys haven't seen what that looks like, we have a tab. We have two tabs in the spreadsheet: the Fanduel worksheet and the DraftKings worksheet. So I specifically list out my tiers of how I'm rolling out my plays tonight. You don't have to tail it, you don't have to copy it, you don't have to play the plays I'm playing, but if you just want to compare notes, you can look at what I'm doing. And tonight I'll be mass entering on FanDuel, so you guys can see who my highest stake plays, my mid tiers, low tiers, all that good stuff. And then of course the spreadsheet's just a pretty cool tool to navigate the slate anyway. So we have week passes, 2 week passes, month passes. Every single membership comes with a voucher towards Fantasy Cruncher. Shout out to Fantasy Cruncher for the partnership, and then for the year pass, that's still up there. That's only going to be up there for another couple days. So if you guys are looking to act on that, man, I definitely recommend locking that in. I'm still thinking about throwing in a T-shirt to people that get it this week. I think that's fair.
Are there pink T-shirts?
I could make pink T-shirts. I could. I don't know. Do I have the pink T-shirts listed right now? But I think I could, if I don't have it, I could have the manufacturer do the pink T-shirts. But chat, we do have a Gundecker Gaming shirt. I think you've seen Danny in the video. We have the Gundecker Gaming hoodie, the Run DFS hoodie, and the Run DFS T-shirt. I know I've made the hoodie pink. That's an option. But I could probably add it to the T-shirt as well, if that's a real request. I don't know. Main event tonight, the Sacramento Kings hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. Projected starting five for the Thunder: SGA, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Lou Dort, not Derek Favors, I guess Darius Bazley. Darius Bazley or Mike Muscala. We'll see how that rolls out.
Bazley's in protocol, I'm pretty sure.
Mike Muscala center today.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Isaiah Roby as well.
Roby.
Yeah. Up against De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, Harrison Barnes, Chemezi Metu, and Rashawn Holmes. We got 224 total. 5-point spread in favor of the Sacramento Kings. Let me see if this line has moved at all. I know I was putting this in before that Favors news dropped, or as that Favors news dropped. So I want to see if there was any notable line movement on that. 224.5, 5.5. So no. So we get two bad defenses. Two teams that probably, not very household friendly, but SGA 92 on FanDuel, 95 on DK. Don't really expect a lot of people to land on him, but he has shown a little bit of upside as of late. A couple of broken slates thanks to him. 51, 66 in 2 of his last 3 games. Sacramento defensively, definitely not juggernauts. And the minutes should be there. I got him at 37 minutes right now, sharing the court with Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Lou Dort. There's plenty of reason to expect 20 to 30 real points out of SGA today. And the projection, Jake, brought back over 50 fantasy points. So maybe SGA is a little bit of a uncomfortable click at over 9K, but everything about it.
Oh, there's nothing uncomfortable about it. I love SGA.
There we go. The Kings side, they're getting a little bit healthier. De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, both dueling AKs, and we've seen Halliburton still thrive in the apps, or with Fox back in the mix. I still think at 8 to 8-9, I need that 40 plus, even that 50 plus on a slate this size. So it's not a priority play, but I wouldn't hate you if you still got there. I don't have any priority plays overall in the Sacramento Kings. It probably the Kings that I would get to would probably be tier 3 at best. You like SGA. Would you get to a decent chunk of Lou Dort as well? That's usually him, Dort, and Giddey are the three that I usually get to. I feel like it wouldn't just be SGA considering the matchup and the total. What are you thinking on the Thunder?
Yeah, I can definitely get to Dort. Outside of that, it does get a little uncomfortable because, maybe I get to some Aaron Wiggins just because, no Giddey. He played minutes last game. I imagine he'll start and have to play more again. The thing with Giddey is, he did so much he's one of the first ever double-doubles with 0 real points.
Yeah.
That's what he does. But yeah, there's gonna be rebounding upside, and especially with Favors out, maybe someone like Muscala sneaks in there and has more rebounds. SGA, I imagine, has to do more of the ball handling now with no Giddey. So, SGA is my favorite, and after that, maybe I get to a Wiggins, I can get to a Dort, maybe I get to a Mike Muscala, because in minutes he can produce fantasy points, but that doesn't feel any sort of good.
SGA is at 46.5 fantasy points on PrizePicks, 26.5 real points. And he averages.
Without Giddey, his usage rate goes up to 36% on the year.
Yeah, that's a nutty. Usually 30% is the magic number for me, Jake. So you get to 36 with not insignificant sample size, a buck 0.3 fantasy points per minute.
And that assist percent too, because Giddey, he has to do all the ball handling without Giddey.
Ooh, assist. What's the assist prop? Assist is at 6.5. He's averaging 5. Maybe. Ranges of outcomes for Isaiah Roby or Mike Muscala to outscore Nathan Knight.
If Nas Reed's in, I think it's pretty good.
It's different, yeah. And on the King side, any clicks for you here? They're pretty healthy, all things considered. It murkies the minute projections, and the prices are still, nothing just isolates as a standout can't miss. Obviously, we mentioned Halliburton has the ceiling worth getting some of, maybe Fox, maybe Hield, but no priorities for me. Do you have any different leans or anybody that's going to backdoor into the player pool?
Yeah, I feel about the same. Because with Halliburton, I love Halliburton, been playing him consistently. He still did well in that first game with Fox back, but his minutes went down to 32. He's almost 9K on DraftKings, so that becomes tough. Yeah. Rashawn Holmes just came back and didn't play at all, really, so I don't know what that was about, so that makes that hard. It feels like all the Kings are priced appropriately, or in Halliburton's case, maybe even a touch overpriced because of how well he did without Fox.
All I know is my projection model loves all of the Thunder, and Wiggins, Kenrich Williams being as cheap as they are on DraftKings versus their Fanduel counterparts, and even Lou Dort's price point on both sites being pretty much the same, spitting back nearly 40 fantasy points. So, yeah, I might have to lean on Dort and SGA a little bit more, get that late-night hammer. You want the hammer? And go on, get the hammer. Where are we at on likes, chat? 230. You guys are nuts. We are at... I don't know. Babe, where are we at on likes?
Where are we at on likes?
Yeah.
We are at 109.
109? That's insane. You guys are beasts. Shout out to you guys in the chat. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, man, show me some love. Tomorrow is Wednesday, another medium-sized slate. So we'll be chopping it up yet again, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. If you have lasting questions, comments, concerns, I'll stick around for 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes, we'll knock some out here. So if you guys have any 1v1s you want us to shoot down, any circle backs, speak now or forever hold your peace. And if you're on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker, so you guys can reach out to me. Let me double check Underdog here. No slate breaking news since we've been there. In the back of my mind, I'm looking for potential rest of the Bucks. I know that's just an in my head thing, but Budenholzer on the road with that lopsided of the spread, I would not be stunned if one of the Bucks, if not two, got a night off. But other than that, it looks like Alex Len is doubtful. You mentioned Selden got ruled out. No other news dropped while we were live, so I'm almost positive that 2 minutes after I click end stream, there's going to be some
how it goes.
LeBron out or something nonsensical.
Half of one of these teams is going to get put in protocols.
What up, Valdo? It says, hey, what's good, Gun? Is Knight still valuable for Minnesota if he doesn't start? And would also be a better pick for Muscala, TY, and I appreciate you. So I think, even with Baisley and Favors is out, I still think Muscala wouldn't necessarily be a guarantee to play deep minutes or even play more minutes than Nathan Knight. I know Nathan Knight's situation is getting potentially murked up with Nas Reed in the mix, but I think Muscala is still per minute and still in a good matchup. I love centers against the Kings, but they also do have Isaiah Roby. They have a couple of outs to switch things up. As far as a 1v1 goes, I don't know. I guess I go with what's familiar lately, and it has been Nathan Knight. But I don't hate Muscala individually as a play, but Muscala's another one of those guys I want to see him start. I think he would, but I also think Isaiah Roby could get some run here. But even if you just split all the center minutes between them, and maybe Roby gets a little bit more for younger legs, it's a good spot no matter what. Good matchup. And in my head, I'm wrestling with the thought of just pivoting there, just based on an ownership stance. But it's an uncomfortable decision to make no matter what. So I think you're thinking the right way. Ben Sapp says Theo Maladon looks good. Maybe. I don't know if he makes the player pool. Dort and SGA be balling. So we did run that split for SGA on, Giddey off. If I put Dort in the mix as well, Dort's usage rate probably not going to be anything high. Dort's at 22%. That's respectable. The assist rate's 10%. The per minute 0.84, but he might get 35 plus minutes. SGA is the priority here. And then Muscala is about a point per minute. The Kings at last glance allowed the most points in a paint per game. So yeah, there might be a path to success for Muscala. Maybe I'm just it's kind of like Cody Zeller yesterday. Like, you looked at all the centers that were out. It was just like, or not Cody Zeller, Mason Plumlee. You looked at all the centers that were out, and then like he's got to play these minutes, but I just like couldn't pull the trigger on giving him those minutes. I guess it's kind of the same for Muscala and Roby here. Like, they got to play the minutes.
Yeah, because they're missing Robinson Earl, who's been playing 30 the last couple games too.
Yeah, that's all the bigs. No Giddey. No Baisley, no Robinson Earl, and no Favors. He's got to play the minutes.
Either him or Roby. Maybe
Maybe
it's the situation where if you build with Muscala because he's 200 more, at least on DK, and then if Roby starts, you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you late swap throughout the slate and see what happens. Brian C's Gun. Who would you start? Terry from Osmo at center for 4.5 or newly married Eric at guard? Ooh, that's a tough one. Terry's my boy. We share the Yankee love. Eric's also my boy. We have some of the most fun, entertaining DFS shows, I think, if you ever hung out with us on baseball. So that's tough, dude. I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna go Eric because Eric will shoot his shot, even if he misses. Eric's gonna go for it. Yeah. Are you guys back on later today? Am I? No, Dom. I do 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, usually every weekday. But I'll be back tomorrow. Gun, what tier are you for Randall and Fanduel? Randall on Fanduel. That rhymes. I would probably tier 3 him, and I'm not even sure I would play him. He's almost 9K. There's going to be plenty of value today at the power forward eligibility position. And I guess there's a path for 40 fantasy points, but it's kind of like an unstellar fantasy 40. And if I put LeBron James in lineups, I put Curry, if I put Jokic, I'm going to be using power forward for a lot of value. So I'd probably say tier 3 at best for me, unless something changes later. But there's a good chance I maybe don't even land on Randall, I got a little show. What's your thoughts on T. Waters? I don't have any Waters interest right now. Campazzo Hart if Morris is out. If Monte Morris is out, fuck into a Campazzo. Yeah, is that a real concern? Like, is it?
He's questionable, yeah.
Yeah. If he's out, yeah, the Jokic has to play a little bit more. Also, a boost for Barton, especially if Aaron Gordon was out. And then, yeah, Campazzo can definitely be a bucket. Maybe Fish fans, boy, Austin Rivers loads up.
Oh, don't let him hear you say that.
4 tier 1 picks, says William Lewis. I don't know if I have 4. I will be working on my tier 1s as we get a little bit closer to lock. But just looking at who projects as like the best value plays from where I'm here now, and I haven't adjusted projections in almost 2 hours. Nathan Knight, I had for 11x. RJ Hampton, I could still get behind. Malik Monk. None of these guys are tier 1s, but there's some awkward names up here. I have to sweep through it. I don't think it's fair for me to list 4 names right now because I don't personally know who my tier 1s are just yet. I might wrestle with SGA. I wish he was AK. Jordan, what up? Terry Easy like Terry at center? I can get down with Terry. Can Terry dunk? I don't know, man. I feel like at least Eric. You don't have to be tall to shoot. I don't know. LeBron or Butler? Ooh, that's a good one, Willie. I think I'm LeBron because I'm a chalk donkey, but that's close. I definitely will have some overlap between LeBron and Butler today. And on DK, that's not even a positional 1v1, right? It's a power forward versus small forward.
Yes, both of them. Neither of them have dual anymore.
Yeah. Bryce is going, you're a rock star. Great bleeping content. I appreciate that. What do you think about Greg Monroe? So Greg Monroe is also going to be contingent on Naz Reid's availability or lack thereof. But yesterday he looked good, and if you're the T-Wolves, you got these guys for 10 days. Use them as you can use them. Monroe was good for fantasy in his Pistons day. He's only 31, which might surprise some of you. I'm literally older than Greg Monroe. I don't know why that surprised me, but yeah. And another thing about Greg Monroe yesterday, for a team that known him for 30 minutes to a couple hours, he had 6 assists. So he was able to gel and play some good basketball. This might get him a job somewhere. But if Naz Reid is in, it's enough to worry about how it floats out for him and Nathan Knight, and Monroe being $1,000 more expensive than Knight. It's enough for me to probably just sit that one out. Would you agree with that? If Naz Reid was in? Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Westbrook, I will have some Westbrook. What do you think about Herbert Jones? Herbert Jones is fine. I think he's a spin the wheel, make a deal type play. Would need Josh Hart to feel better about him, but if Josh Hart was out, on top of Ingram and AEW being out, Herbert Jones definitely has a path to minutes and a surprising uptick in usage. But no matter what, it's not like a fantastic defensive matchup against the Cavs, right? Who are your top 3 pay-ups? Jokic, LeBron. This is so chalky, right? Jokic, LeBron, Curry. That's such a boring. No offense, it's like a boring question because how can I be cheap about, or I don't know, I can't be creative about that. Jokic, LeBron's probably going to be my highest zone of the studs, but I've kind of talked myself into a complete circle on Jokic and Curry, with Draymond being the X factor, because I do think Draymond represents a lot, especially on the court coaching as far as a defensive mind. Without him in the mix, and I know Kuminga's good, but he's still young. Without him in the mix, I feel like it's a stronger opportunity for Jokic to get to the ceiling. And then without him in the mix, the numbers look really good on Curry historically, considering Jordan Poole's out as well to pick up some scoring load. So with that, what a big league stew. Terry's been running Rucker Park since the 70s. Let's go, Terry. I'm older than Greg Monroe. Feels weird. It feels weird. It does feel weird, but what can you do?
Boomers these days.
Jake, you got any hot takes for the roads?
No, I think we just about covered everything. Just until half a team gets rolled out in 5 minutes.
I can't wait. As soon as I go off, I know there's going to be some news that breaks everything. Everything. But chat, I can't thank you guys enough. Another concurrent viewership record. Let's keep it going. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. We're back at it. I'm going straight into that Discord voice chat. Go to rundfs.com, click membership, get a membership, then click VIP portal, open the spreadsheet, open the Discord, jump in there, have some fun with us. And I forgot Spotify doesn't like music when I'm in here. So I'll see you in a minute. But yeah, that's it, man. I love you guys. Crush it tonight. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money. I'm going to click the ending screen this time, and you guys don't have to watch me sit here awkwardly